Hello and welcome to Talk About Tomorrow. And today we have come to Cadela Carlota, to the dog shelter, where I'm talking to President Ruth about the wonderful work they do at the shelter and their aspirations for the following year as they try to raise a large sum of money to rehome the cat shelter into this location. So Ruth, thank you so much for speaking to us today. And I think everyone locally knows about some of the wonderful work you do, but we're here to really try to understand a bit more about the challenges you face and also the money you need to raise to try to bring the cats here. So you are the president. Can you tell me a bit about what your role entails?
Well, the president does a little bit of everything. I manage in general, I manage the communications with the email, I manage the social network. I come mostly to the dog shelter, not so much to the cat shelter because I'm a dog person, but I manage everything. I try to manage everything from the top. It's lots of work.
And how did you first become involved with the dog shelter?
I started 1 or 2 years after the charity was created in 2009 or 2010, I think. I arrived as a volunteer. I was going to the dog shelter at the time. It was in Vila do Bispo, in the space in Vila do Bispo. So I was going every weekend to clean the dogs, to feed the dogs, and to do this basic tasks that the dogs need to be done, So I started as a simple volunteer. And then later on, I became member of the board as a secretary. I did it for many years. And now I became president. It was like a natural evolution. We have a new board since 3 years ago. So I became president 3 years ago.
And tell me about how the Cadela Carlota came about initially and how it got its name.
The story of why Cadela Carlota. Yeah, it's a different name. Carlota was a real dog. We have her on our logo.
On your logo, yes.
Yeah, and Carlota belonged to Cecilia Paula, the woman who created the charity. And Cecilia Paula lives in Lagos, and one day Carlota went missing. And then she looked around for a few days, and someone told her, just look at the kennel, at the municipal kennel. And she went there, and Carlota was there. Someone found Carlota on the street and took her there. And then Cecilia Paula was very impressed with because the kennel years ago was not like it is today. Okay, so she was impressed with the amount of dogs they had at the kennel, and she kept thinking about these dogs and thinking they needed help. They needed extra help. So she created Cadela Carlota with the name of Carlota to help the dogs from the kennel.
And did you immediately come to this piece of land? Was this where she originally had the shelter?
No. First, they started with a very small space in Meia Praia, in the private home. They started with 10 dogs, I believe. And then, of course, things get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then they had to move to Vila do Bispo, again to this private property who belonged to an English lady. And then again, bigger and bigger. I remember when I started in Vila do Bispo, there were 30 dogs. We were taking care of about 30 dogs. And then we came to this land in 2012 because anyway, in Vila do Bispo it was a private property, and we were getting more and more dogs. So we moved here, and we had that chance. So we started building here.
And then, of course, came the time where the owner of this land wanted to sell it.
Yes.
So that must have been very heart-wrenching at that time to think about what could potentially happen to all these dogs that were homed here. So tell me about how you went about acquiring this land.
Well, the owner of the land he knew Cecilia Paula, so and he told us he always wanted to sell it for us, for Cadela Carlota.
He wanted you to buy it, yes.
Yes. So we had at the time we had a very good price for it. Of course, it was hard. It was a struggle to raise the money. It's always is, yeah. But we managed. So I think we were very, what's the word, fortunate?
Well, I think the community came together, didn't it, to help you?
Yes, we had lots of help from Tomorrow Magazine, Nandi, Appa from Lagoa, and other private people, and we were very lucky. It surprised me because in less than 1 year we got the money.
75,000, was it?
85,000. Yes.
Yeah, it's a lot of money to raise. So now the dogs are safe.
Safe, yes.
You own this now forever.
Yes.
And tell me, when the dogs come here, what reasons are there for you taking them in? What are the sort of common factors that bring dogs here?
I don't think we don't have so many dogs coming straight to the streets anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes a dog is found in the middle of nowhere by someone, and they ask us to take in the dog. Mostly now it's people who are moving home because people don't have. They are struggling, to find homes.
Yeah.
And to find houses and or apartments where they can live with their animals.
Sure.
And also elderly people who have to go to a nursing home, and the family doesn't want to take care of the dogs or the cats they leave behind. I think mostly that's lately. Yes.
And how about the puppies? Do people still abandon puppies outside your gates, or?
It happened once with these 7 puppies. They were left outside the gate in the Uber box. It was last year, I think. But what happens most with the puppies, it's private people with females, not sterilized females. They have the puppies at their place, and then they asked us for help.
Yes.
It's mostly lack of sterilization from private people, private families.
And if people are struggling to afford maybe to neuter their pets, can you help with that? The giving them money maybe, or financial assistance to have their dogs sterilized?
No, we ask help. We tell people to go to Nandi charity, because we got that help from Nandi also.
Oh, okay.
The sterilization of our dogs, it's done with the help of Nandi charity. We get their vouchers. So I tell people, just go to Nandi and ask them for help. And they have this opportunity to sterilize their own dogs.
So really people shouldn't just let nature take its course. There is help available.
I don't know if they don't know about it. I don't know if they don't have the money. Some, they don't believe on it.
Mm-hmm,
I had answers like this: so we don't believe in castration, we don't believe in sterilization, we don't want to do this. So it's several things.
So I was looking at your newsletter, and at this shelter here you've had 62 intakes in the last year, and out of that 50 have been adopted, which is a really good figure. Mm-hmm. You've got a total of 81 which you keep at the shelter, but then 13 I think have been fostered. So tell me about the fostering program and why you need foster homes for pets.
We don't have a special program for it, because not everyone wants to foster a dog. What happens is that usually the volunteers who come here, they fall in love with the dog, or they think, I want to help this dog. It happened this way before, and then they take the dog home and they try to find this dog a home. It happens, these situations. Dogs, they are sick, they are old. We had this kind of help too from volunteers who accept to help us this way. It's a very useful way to help us. But not everyone is willing to do it. It's not so easy to take a dog home, a dog from the shelter to take the dog home. and then it's lots of trouble. It's lots of work, not
Yes.
lots of trouble, lots of work. So, but it's a good help. It's a good help, and I wish we had more people doing this.
So maybe if
Because-
there's a person who can't take a dog because they don't know whether they might have moved, in a year or so, but they would like to help an animal, it's a short-term way that they can help and help socialize the animal
Yes,
so that
yes,
they can then be
yes.
adopted long-term.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It's a
And
good
so
way.
if anyone is interested in fostering, obviously, to get in touch with you. So tell me about why you need to move the cats to this location. The cats are currently, I believe, in a shelter sort of near the city walls in Lagos.
Yes, the place we are using for the cats belongs to the city hall,
Camera
the
de
Camera of
Lagos.
Lagos, and we always knew it was a temporary place. It was. They told us this when we moved into that place. It was a temporary place, and the place itself, it's not serving the purposes, because we have. It's a small place. Is no conditions to have a cat shelter there. Of course, it's adapted. We try to adapt the place to our needs. But as it happens with the dogs, the number of cats is rising and rising and rising. I think it's even more problematic than the dogs. So we want to move because we know one of these days the camera will take the place back, because of course it's theirs, it's temporary, and it's not serving us anymore. So I think it's time to move.
Yes.
But we can do it just like this because we want to do it. Of course, we have to find the right place, find the right structures, and raise the money.
So you need to raise the money to build the structures on this land, which will provide a safe and permanent home for these cats.
Yes.
How much do you need to raise for that?
75,000.
Okay. And do you have a target in how long you think that might take you?
We wish that next year we will have the money, but we really don't know.
Because I was looking, and I think this year you had 108 intakes of cats. That's
Yes,
a lot,
that's a
isn't
lot.
it?
That's a lot.
69 were adopted, 35 fostered, and 57 in the shelter. So
yes,
that's a lot of cats.
this
that you
year
need to find a home
was
for.
a crazy year, but I think it was general. The other charities along Algarve, they complain about the same.
And do you think it's the cost of living crisis is at fault that people can't afford anymore to keep animals?
I think so. People are giving their animals away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every day I get, we got phone calls, asking to please help me. I have to move home.
Yes.
I can take my dog. I can take my cats.
Yes. And you were saying the other problem in Portugal is maybe the mentality that people put dogs very often on a chain and leave them.
That's terrible.
So explain why you think that's a problem.
I think it's a mentality mostly from elderly people. They have the lands, they have this piece of land that they cultivate, and then they want a guard dog. So they put the dog there, and then they go home. They go there to feed the dog. The dog is something they have, and the chain it's a terrible thing.
Yeah.
That you see it often, especially in not in the cities, but in countries, rural area or countryside. And yes, it's.
And do then people call you because they've seen them and they're concerned of the welfare of the animal?
Yes, yes. But there's not much we can do if the owner doesn't want to give the dog. Sometimes most of them are very stubborn. Okay, I have my dog. Is on the chain, so that's how it should be, and it's very difficult. There's no solution because the law doesn't say it's forbidden to have a dog on the chain. They have to have certain conditions like shade, food, water. They should be able to move around.
But otherwise, there's no law saying you can't keep your dog on a chain
really.
the whole time. And in Portugal, do you have the equivalent to an animal welfare, like in Britain, it's called the RSPCA. You have an organisation like this which goes to animals that are being treated cruelly or not?
I don't think we have something like you have. We start having, well, some things were created inside the police PSP. There's a special department in Portimão, not in Lagos, and another special department from GNR, also in Portimão. We have the closest one, it's SEPNA.
Okay.
And then we have ECNF, that they should take care about this kind of situations also, but everything is very slow, and most of the complaints I do they don't have a solution. They say, we check the place, everything is okay.
Okay.
So
do you have any dogs here that have been kept on a chain, and how do they then adapt, or how do you help them?
Here at the shelter,
Yes.
We have several dogs. We had several dogs that came from that situation. They adapt well. Sometimes I remember one dog we took from the chain. It really didn't know how to walk on the lead. He was walking on circles. Mm-hmm. So it's this, they get this they are kept in a chain for so long that they don't know how to walk normal anymore. So, but gradually they learn, yeah. And usually they are nice dogs. We didn't get aggressive dogs from being in a chain, fortunately.
How do you run this kennel? I know you are heavily reliant on volunteers. Can you tell me a bit about how the volunteers help you, and if people want to volunteer, what they should do?
Well, they just have to contact us. We tell them the days we are opening for dog walkers and people to socialize the dogs. The volunteers can come 4 times a week in the mornings, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday and Thursday now from 8 to 12. And they can walk dogs, socialize the dogs, brush the dogs, cuddle the dogs. They can come inside. It's very, we trust them enough to let them come inside the pens and pick up the dogs they want to walk. And yes, it's
I've just met
well.
2 lovely volunteers today, Melissa and Elspeth.
Yeah.
And they were busy just cleaning
yes,
out
yes.
the pens. They wanted the dogs to have a clean environment to live in. And Melissa was telling me that she walks the dogs and actually fell in love with one of them and then adopted them. Yes. But obviously you couldn't run this place without volunteers. So if anyone has some spare time, or just to give whatever time they have spare would help you. Okay, well, Ruth, thank you so much for chatting to us today and giving us such a great insight. And you do such wonderful work. So if anyone can help you in any way, we ask that you contact Ruth. And I think that's a lot of your day-to-day work, isn't it? Taking calls.
Every day.
Yes.
Every day.
Well, you're doing a great job. So keep up the good work. And thanks for joining us today. So welcome back to Talk About Tomorrow, where we're at the Cadela Carlota shelter. And now I'm going to talk to the treasurer, Konstanze. And today we are sat in front of some pens where there's some lovely dogs, and my children are currently playing with the puppies in the pen over there. Now, I'm sure that running the centre is a challenge financially. Konstanze, can you tell me about how you go about funding this day-to-day operation?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Sophie. So we have certain funding sources that are stable, that we consider stable, and those are our 2 charity shops. Then we have a protocol with the city of Lagos, and as of recent, a small protocol as well with the Vila do Bispo. Which means that we are also in return, of course, serving those municipalities by helping them get the dogs and cats that they can take in the canal or, that are in the street. Those are our stable funding sources that I can rely on every month. And that makes about 50% of our expenditures. And biggest expenditures, of course, are vet bills. Any operating costs that we have, and many repairs that have to be done. So 50% of our monthly funding has to be raised by membership fees, by generous donations. People do great things like Facebook birthday fundraisers. We have donation tins in many cafes in town, and the cafes are supporting us, and they have also a little material that they can hand out to people. And then we rely on sometimes big donors, but we can't really rely on that. So at the end of each month, we have enough money raised so we can cover our costs so that we come out. That, of course, does not cover our special projects that maybe we want to talk about a little as well.
So what are your daily or monthly running costs, just as an example?
Yeah, our monthly running costs are between 7,500 and 8,000 every month.
Wow.
Just this month I had an extremely high vet bill for the cat shelter only. It was 3,000. That is a little bit high and unusual. But when there is an outbreak of a contagious disease or something like that, then it can spike easily, and we have to be prepared for that as well. So again, food, litter for the cats, food for the dogs, and vet expenses are the biggest single costs, aside from all the maintenance costs of running an organization.
And if people can't make a financial donation, you mentioned there your two shops in Almadna and Lagos, and maybe people, rather than putting things they don't want by the rubbish bins, they could take them to your shop, right?
100%. We have two fantastic shops that take donations of clothes, of pretty much anything. Then the ladies in the shops sort it out and organize it, and then people really are happy to go and find treasures in this, and that is a very, very important funding source for us every month. Yeah.
And behind us there is a house which actually has the beautiful mural of Carlota, who was the dog that inspired this project. And you were telling me earlier that this, as well as the money you need to raise for the cat shelters, this is another project that you need to raise money for. So explain to me why you need the money to renovate that house.
Yeah, so it goes back to what happens every year, once or twice, that we get an outbreak of a parvovirus or another contagious disease. And when we bring in dogs, we don't know immediately. We take them to the vet, but it's not immediately clear if they somehow have a disease or something that can spread. So this house, because just recently this exactly happened, we can talk more about that, is supposed to be our quarantine area. So that when a dog comes in, when puppies come in, when the whole litter comes in, we can have them for a couple of weeks, usually 14, 15 days, in a quarantine that is clean and that is separate from everything else, so that we don't endanger our residents here.
Yeah, so that's going to be your quarantine area.
Yes.
And tell me, you also need to build a functioning bathroom.
Yes.
Why is that?
Well, we need to fulfill certain criteria if we have somebody, because we have somebody here 24/7 for the safety and taking care of the dogs, because many things can happen at night. So we're very fortunate actually to have somebody here. And we would love to provide them with a regular contract, which means then they would have access to Social Security and healthcare, which right now that's just not the case. So he helps and on occasion. But in order to give a contract, the city will of course inspect us, and we will need to build a water toilet and a shower. Otherwise we won't. So it's a catch-22. We can't do one without the other. So this project of the quarantine space, coupled with a toilet and a working shower, is sort of a project that came to the forefront, mostly sparked by this parvovirus outbreak. So yeah.
And that was really sad, wasn't it? Because how many puppies were infected with this virus?
So we had 7 puppies that were infected. 1 puppy came in that had it, then other puppies came in who got it. And we had wonderful volunteers who took 2 or 3 each of the puppies, day and night, day after day, hour after hour, cared for them, fed them, tried to keep them alive. Out of the 7, unfortunately, only 1 survived.
So sad.
Yeah.
So really that money will prevent.
That money will help us prevent this from happening. And it happens every year. We can count on it.
And there was one lady, wasn't there, who cared for the the puppies
Yeah.
and actually then fell in love with the
Yeah,
puppy and kept
yeah.
her. Yeah.
So here next to the shelter, we have fantastic neighbors who help out very much, who literally walk over, have their own dogs, have already adopted a dog from us, and are great volunteers, helped with maintenance work and building something. And so Annie offered to take 3 of the puppies in on top of her dogs and keeping them separate. And she cared for them a long time. And out of the 3, 1 survived. That was the only one that survived out of the 7. And then she had fallen in love with Rennie. Rennie is the little dog. And she always says they rescued each other, and she naturally became a part of their family. And so we are very happy to say that she is now adopted by them.
Yeah. So a little glimmer of sunshine from a sad story.
From a very, very sad story that sparked then our reviving of this project. We just have to do.
And of course, if people can't again donate financially, maybe they have a construction company and they can build a bathroom for you, right? They don't have to give the money. They can maybe donate their expertise.
If they donate labor, if they donate some materials, if you know, that would be a fantastic help. We can actually see this. I don't know if you can show this. The sun sails that we have here were donated by a local company. They gave us the labor to install them, and gave us many of these sunshades.
Sunny Shades, right?
Sunny Shades is the company,
so big thanks to Sunny Shades for doing that, and anyone else who could donate some materials. I know that you recently had to replace your gate as well. That was another project that you've just done.
And always those projects become bigger and more expensive than anticipated. And we have, for example, going back to the vets, we get, of course, charity prizes, but they're still prizes. So anything a company could donate to us would be lovely.
And you've just had a new water cleaning system put in so the dogs can have clean water.
Yeah, it's very, very important. A couple of years ago, we were able, through a donation, to install a watering system. So all the dogs have a tray in the shelter in their own pen. But then we had the water tested. Turns out there are small amounts of even E. coli in the water.
Oh, goodness.
So definitely not drinkable by humans. You know, even that's why the shower is also very important with clean water. So we had raised money previously to install a water filtration system. It comes out of the borehole. It goes now through the system that just recently last month was installed, and made a big difference. But you know, all that is of course expensive. I'm the treasurer, so I'm going to tell you this time and again.
And tell me how you became involved. Do you have a financial background or something you just managed to get roped into?
Not at all. I came to after lockdown. And I had just moved here. I wanted to just be with dogs. I was missing my dogs back home that my children have. And I wanted to just help and walk dogs and sit with dogs and cuddle dogs. And I did that for about 7 months or so. I also found my soul dog during this time, which I adopted then. And then came the time that there was new elections for a new board, and Ruth kindly thought I was capable of maybe handling one chore. And I said, I do it, I can learn, but I have no financial background. So it was a big learning experience for me. And in the 3 years, we have come from humble beginnings to now, I think, being able to talk quite well about the numbers.
And you were just telling me that Ruth, although she's very modest, she actually has a full-time job as well as being president, right?
Yes.
Crikey.
Yes.
Superwoman.
Yes.
And so tell me about the board, because I think it's important to stress that people's money doesn't just arrive and get frittered on this and that. There's a very strong structure in place, isn't there, to allocate money to everything.
So we have our accounts, so we know exactly where our money comes from, and our members and our donors know exactly where it's going. And that is part of our annual financial statement that we show and at our annual General Assembly meeting. That is for all our members, so they can see where our money went, but they will also approve the budget for the following year. So I have this here, and anybody can at any time come and look, hey, where is this money going? Because what we promised our members when our team took over, and we brought, I think, a little bit more formality into it, that anybody can at any time look where the money is going. But it was also very interesting for us to know, where's our money coming from? And so we separated in many different ways. There's, for example, donation tins in the cafes in town at our vets. We do festivals that we raise. We went just to Artidos, or we did the medieval festival, and then we have our small donors that maybe through our Facebook page and PayPal donate 5-10 euros. And when I actually count everything together, it's the small amounts that make the big difference for us. And it's easy for people, it needs to be easy for people to donate. And so we try to put the structure in place where it's easy and transparent for people.
And of course, tomorrow's winter and summer ball have given you a total of 5,000.
Yes, so I want to, if I may, just to say a couple of words, because 2.5 years ago, I think we were invited to a charity golf tournament, and that's when we were looking for the land. And Phil was there and listening, and then we started working with you guys, and that has been a fantastic partnership. It gave us so much more community exposure, and then of course the bigger events that we were there, and we launched our 2 biggest projects at the glitter ball one, the purchase of the land, and the cat shelter just now in June at the tropical ball.
Exactly. And thank you to all the people who attended that ball, because we did raise a good amount of money to get you started with that project. And tell me as well, you are doing a bit of a promotion as well at the moment to look for volunteers. So can you explain to me why the volunteers are so important to what you do here?
So the volunteers at the dog shelter and at the cat shelter do very different tasks. But without the volunteers, our dogs wouldn't get walked. And we have 81 dogs here. And we ensure, with help of volunteers, that they get out, that they get groomed, that they get socialized, because our ultimate goal is to have the dogs adopted, to have them find a home. If we don't socialize them, they won't find a home. So that takes a lot of people to walk 81 dogs every week, several times, and we keep very good track of that. At the cat shelter, however, it's a little bit different. You don't walk the cats, but the cats require a lot of cleaning and disinfection and medication administration, because they are just, the tasks are just very different. And we always will find dog walkers and a bit easier, because when you come to the cat shelter, that's why I want to stress that with the cat shelter, it's a bit more difficult work, and you need dedicated people who understand cat health, what cats need, and they have the patience also to work with the cats and clean the cats and do everything.
And probably they just need socializing, don't they? You need to talk to the cats and stroke them. And
they need love and affection. The dogs do, and the cats do as well, aside from all the other things. And then we need people for our food drives, for example. When we stand at Pingo Dos or at Continente and ask people, hey, if you go in, can you bring out a can of food or something? And that's a whole different way of volunteering again. And some people love it, so we need people for that as well, very much. Or people who help us bring in dogs. If somebody calls in, there's a wild dog running around by the street, can somebody help and go? And that's a part we are struggling with, because people may not think they are able to do this, but that's where we really, really need help.
And tell me about adopting an animal and how that can help you.
Oh, adoption, like I said, is really our ultimate goal, to find these dogs a home. And so if you see our ads we do in the Portugal Resident, tomorrow Algarve Magazine,
on your website,
on our Facebook and Instagram pages, Ruth is doing that. She advertises all our dogs that are ready for adoption. So when you see somebody, or somebody sees a dog, and we have that happen quite often, just come visit, walk around, sit with the dog, see if it's a match. We encourage you to come several times to make sure that you jive with the dog, or that your previous, or the animal you already have, gets along. And then it gets started. So you fill out some paperwork. We have a volunteer dedicated to adoptions. She will then also do a home visit because we are obviously very vested in where the dog ends up. If the dog is a puppy, hasn't been sterilized yet, you will give a promise that you will sterilize and bring the dog back to one of our vets, and that's paid for. You don't have to worry about it. But only then do we change the microchip, so that we know that no animal really leaves our care with not being sterilized. Yeah.
And if people can't commit to adopting, they have the option to foster. Can you give me some examples of where that's happened and been successful?
Oh yeah, we have. It's also a very important part, and we need more fosters. We definitely need more fosters. And fosters are, for example, if a dog had an operation, needs to wear a cone, and is not properly cared for in an environment. You see how it is here. Needs maybe a more sterile environment. So if people then take a dog for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or even longer term, that's one option. The other option is we have puppies that are too small and their mother isn't around, so they need to be bottle fed. That needs to happen in a foster home. When dogs are old and basically have their last month or year in front of them, we ask for people to help if they can't walk anymore or they have other problems. And we have nice people who do that as well, but not enough. Not enough.
And people do all sorts, don't they? Because you were telling me there's a lovely Belgian lady who actually makes crafts for you to sell even.
Yes. We have Karine. I think most people will know her. She makes wonderful baskets and other handicrafts, and that's her job, but it's entirely for Cadela Carlota. That's what she does. So she is another pillar in our community that has, over the years, helped us a great deal. And she's inspiring to others to do similar things. So then the other thing that I may want to mention in the same vein is sponsorship of dogs. So if you cannot be a foster for reasons, you may be allergic or you may not have the facilities to home a dog, you can sponsor a dog. And you can do that with €5 a month, 10 or 20 a month, but it would be a stable then flow of money. And you would get updates. You will get a video of your dog. You can visit, if you can, your dog. But people can do this in the UK, in Germany, anywhere. And then they get quarterly updates of the dog. Or the cat, of course.
Fantastic idea. So you can just help in so many ways.
Yeah.
And you were saying as well, I think that although this is a private charity, you do work alongside the municipal kennels and of course explain the role that Nandi has in helping you.
So Nandi has always helped us in providing. So Nandi is a charity who helps other animal charities here in the Algarve. People may not be aware. And they raise a lot of money, do a fantastic job. And we have been fortunate that they give us, for sterilization, they give us vouchers. They also help us with a monthly stipend for dog food. And then just recently, we have started conversations with them for a more formal partnership so that we leverage our strength more and help each other even more. And that is the least of it, information exchange. So how can we help? Where can we work together in festivals, for example? So that's a big one for the future where we want to work much more with them.
And can you tell me a story maybe about a dog that's come here and has been rehomed, but it might have been a sort of challenge to socialize them or anything? Does any sort of examples spring to mind?
So many. And maybe I tell a couple, but we had a dog that had been here for a very, very long time, an older dog, beautiful dog. His name was Viriato. And who knows, history knows that's quite significant. Beautiful dog. And year after year, he got overlooked by anybody. And I believe it was an Irish gentleman. One day he came and walked around, and like lightning, it struck him between Viriato and him. Oh. And he said, I'm going to take him. He has a permanent disease. He needs to take medication. It did not deter him. They both made a connection. And then he took him home and he lived another 1.5 years with him. Oh, so he had a beautiful life at the end.
And they say, don't they, every man or woman has their sort of dog, their soul dog, as you say.
It was the soul dog, yeah. It happened to me. It happened to me with my soul dog. And if you are able, especially for older dogs, who are traditionally very hard to rehome because people are interested in puppies or maybe smaller dog. But if we have sort of your medium, normal looking dog, it's a bit difficult. But I want to say once every half year it happens that somebody comes in or a young couple comes in and immediately makes a connection. And recently that happened with a young German couple. They were here with their camper van, and they fell in love with a dog named Sophia, who also had been around. Beautiful dog, but doesn't maybe stand out like a husky would or something. and they made this connection, and now this dog is on a couch in Berlin. So I mean, it's like, you know, it's beautiful for us to see that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And is there anything else you'd like to highlight to the listeners today that maybe we haven't mentioned?
Well, I think the most important thing really is that you can provide help in so many different ways. And if you think maybe I don't know how to help, but I would like to help, come here, visit us, and we can talk, and you will find some way to help. And that may be from the cleaning of the pens. It may be from cutting weeds, which in the summer we have to, before the summer we have to do to avert fire risk. It may be to walk a dog, maybe take a dog to the beach. You may not know how you can help, but we can help you find that out.
And I think it's important to say, isn't it, that it will not only will it benefit the dogs, but it will benefit you as well. Finding a purpose or a bond with a dog, or as you say, walking, improve your mental health, maybe if you're stressed, or, you know.
It is the best to come home in the evening and know you actually did something that made a difference in the life of this dog, this cat. And then you forge beautiful friendships with other people who have the same goals. So it's a win-win.
Well, I think that's a great point to end this edition of Talk About Tomorrow. You can make a difference, and it's such an important charity locally doing such brilliant work. So if you can help, please do. And thank you so much for inviting us here today. It's been wonderful to meet you and all the animals here.
Thank you for having us.